Terrific. Any questions, please?
Mr. President, what is it that you think that's happening in Michigan that's illegal?
Well, I think if we're talking about the mail-in ballots, if people mail in ballots, there's a lot of illegality. They send in ballots that they harvest ballots. You know all about harvesting, and they do lots of bad things. Ideally, people go out and they vote. Now, if you need a mail-in ballot, if you need a specific, like as an example, I'm in the White House, and I have to send a ballot to Florida, that makes sense. So if you need it for some reason, or if somebody's not well, that's one thing. But
yes, my mic wasn't on. This is C-SPAN pausing, by the way.
when you send out 7.7 million mail-in ballots, there's forgeries. There's, frankly, duplication where they print ballots on the same kind of paper with the same kind of machinery, and you can't tell the difference.
Yes, you
and
can.
they send in thousands and thousands of fake ballots. And I tell you what, this nation can't be going down that path because it's a very dangerous path to go down.
It's all ridiculous.
Now, we just won a big election.
Washington and Oregon have been doing it for years.
You probably heard about this one in California 25. Mike Garcia, he just won a very big election, and that was
Republicans won.
Ballots.
Mail-in ballots.
And
okay, C-SPAN, it sounds like
it's
C-SPAN's just going to be doing this.
They won the case for ballots. He was doing very well. Because they're ballots, you see he was way ahead in an area that, frankly, was not expected to go Republican. First time in 22 years that it's happened. They flipped from Democrat to Republican. California, the first time in 22 years that it happened. And they actually put machines in there in the last 3 days because they thought, meaning the Democrats, because they thought that might happen, but it didn't. But that was a case, that was a positive case. But mail-in ballots are very dangerous. There's tremendous fraud involved and tremendous
Mail-in ballots
illegality.
are very dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm adjusting volume as we go here, guys. Thank you for letting me know.
That are also moving to mail-in ballots because of the pandemic and people are scared to go vote.
Well, we're going to see how it all works out. But they had 7.7 million applications sent out. They have, in the state of Nevada, they have tremendous. They have a tremendous drive-in where you just mail in your ballots. You can't do that. You got to go and vote. People have to check you. They have to see that it's you. They're supposed to look at you and check you and make sure.
We have a signature and an address.
Thousands of ballots.
Someone's going to move into my house.
They put them in a bag and they just bring them in. People start counting. Who knows where they come from?
So don't do the harvesting.
Obvious. I mean, frankly, they should have voter
Just have
ID.
mail-in only or drop-off boxes
you really
at the
want to know
libraries.
what the country wants. The country wants.
That's what
voter
Washington
ID.
does.
Otherwise, it's going to be subject to tremendous illegality and fraud.
Mr. President, what fundings are you considering withdrawing
From
Michigan? He's threatened to keep funding away from Michigan. Which funding?
Yeah, well, I have very specific funding. I just spoke with the governor. We didn't discuss that. We really discussed more the topic at hand plus the dams breaking. So we didn't, but we'll.
Oh, Tyra, good. Somebody's here. Okay.
If it's necessary, you'll be.
I don't know how
finding out.
much
They'll
you
be
guys are
finding out
delayed, but
very soon if it's necessary. I don't think it's going to be necessary because mail-in ballots are a very dangerous thing. They're
no, there is no plague
subject
anymore,
to massive
Tyra.
fraud.
We're done with that.
And by
He
the
got
way,
bored of it.
I don't want to put anybody on the spot. If you have anything to say about it, Asa or Laura, but how can you do that? You have people signing ballots. Who knows who's signing these ballots?
The county has everyone's
They pick
signature.
the ballot. They take them out of mailboxes. They go
I
around
had
accumulating.
one of my
They
ballots set
harvest.
back at
I
one
guess the
point
word is
because my
harvest
signature
now.
looked nothing like what they had on
And,
file. And you're able to track. You send your ballot in, and you're able
was
to track
especially
it
prevalent in
on the
California, and
internet.
it's just not a fair situation. Do you have any comment on that?
So
Well, I do.
ridiculous.
Of course, Arkansas supported a voter ID law.
Good.
But in
course
terms of
they
the
did.
election in November, there's a lot of discussion about how we can make the vote accessible if there is continued worry from a health standpoint. And we want to be able to use no excuse absentee voting as a way to do it, but it's still a person-to-person identification
Right.
of the individual versus
Yeah, I think that's what actually happened. I think I got a
mail
call or
in
something.
variety that, as you said,
Or a piece
can
of,
be,
like a piece of paper with a
manipulated. So we're
barcode, or maybe
looking
they even
at that,
emailed
but,
me.
we believe
But
in
at some
the,
point, my
identification
signature
of
didn't
the-
match. This is
I
years
think
ago.
just common sense would tell you that it's massive manipulation can take place. Massive. They and you do
How?
have cases of fraudulent
I mean,
ballots.
if
where
it's
they
so easy
actually
to
print
do,
them and they
why
give the
hasn't it
people to
happened?
sign. Maybe the same person signs them with different writing, different pens. I don't know. There's a lot of things can happen.
Different
No,
pens.
if you can, you should go and vote. Voting is an honor. It shouldn't be something where they send you a
I
pile of
vote
stuff
from
and you
home, and I'm honored to do so.
send it back. Another thing that happens, a lot of people in certain districts, this is historically,
Certain
a lot of people
historically.
in certain districts don't ever get their ballot. They keep calling, where's my vote? Where's my ballot? Then election day passes and they forget about it. And that can happen in the thousands.
It's kinda
I'm
on
not saying
them.
it does, but it can. It probably has.
Not saying it does. It probably has. After he just got done telling us how it happens so much in certain districts historically.
When it's also going through these issues with the water.
No, I'm not. No,
Such
I'm
a
not concerned
moron.
at all. We're going to help Michigan. Michigan is a great state. I've gotten tremendous business to go
He threatened to withhold funding from Michigan. Now he's saying
to
we're going to help Michigan.
Michigan's
so-
one of the reasons I ran. I was honored in Michigan long before I thought
Michigan's
about,
one of the reasons
I was
he ran.
honored as the man of the year in Michigan.
No, he was
at a
not.
big event, and I got up and I remember so well. I spoke probably 5-6 years before I even thought about running for president, and I got up and I spoke, and I said, "Why are you allowing them
There
to
was
steal
no
your
man
car
of the year
business?"
for Trump. It's not a thing.
We
Michigan
lost
man of the year
32% of our
doesn't
car business
exist.
to Mexico, and a lot of it came out of Michigan. And I said, "Why did you allow that to happen?" And
Hey, I didn't even
posed
know,
many
Toto,
questions
that,
to Michigan that night. I think it made it quite an impression.
That they had mail-in voting. I should just wait till C-SPAN pauses to speak.
And now we have those same car factories that are coming back, except in a brand newer and bigger form. So I think we're going to do very
Everything's
well
better.
in Michigan. I guess we just got a poll that's very good right here. A very good poll
There's
about
nothing
how
on
we're
it?
doing in Michigan and other
Is it upside
swing
down?
states and just generally in the
He's not going to
elections.
show it
But
to us.
I won't show you. I'm sure you can get it. I won't flip this over. Everyone say, could you flip it over?
Everyone is?
But
I can't
no,
hear
I think
anybody.
We're doing very well in Michigan. Very great place. And I'll be there tomorrow. And I guess it's tomorrow, but I'll be there tomorrow, the Ford plant. And I'm maybe going to do
Yeah, in Washington, I could track
double
my
stop
vote
or I'll go back
all the way
on
until
the
it was
dams.
counted.
But we have to take care of that problem.
Mr. President, with 4% of the world's population and 30% of the outbreak, what would you have done differently?
No.
facing
Deaths.
this, crisis?
Say
Well, nothing.
deaths,
If you take
not
New
cases.
York and New Jersey, which were very hard hit, we were very, very low. And in terms of morbidity and in terms of
If you take them, we were very low.
you look at the death, relatively speaking, we're
Yes.
at the lowest level along with Germany. Germany, us, there could have
that's
been some
death
smaller countries
rate,
too, perhaps.
but we
I'd
have
like to
way
ask you maybe
more
about
deaths.
that,
Yeah, I'd like to hear.
if I could, Deborah.
We're not talking about death rate. We're talking about actual deaths.
Well, I think the biggest thing we did is stopping the inflow from China into our country, and Deborah was a big
Didn't work.
supporter of that. I mean, in terms
She wasn't.
of
She
how
wasn't
important
here.
it turned out to be.
Deborah didn't get here
And so
till
was
March.
Tony Fauci. They were very, very. Tony said we saved thousands
was here.
and thousands of lives. That was a great decision that was made, and that was made very early. Please, Deborah.
Yeah, I think it's always confusing, and particularly confusing to the American people when we don't emphasize the size of our country. We're the third largest country
In the world, but we have 4.4%
in
of
the
the
world.
population.
But every country has a different
28%?
experience with this virus. And so you have to adjust everything to population size. And so when you look at Spain and Italy, our attack rates to this virus are identical to other countries that have experienced the type of epidemic that we have experienced. And so every country is different. That's why you really need to always report data normalized per population. And then you
Yeah.
look at the mortality by population, and it's true, we have, compared to our European colleagues, some of the lowest mortality, about
sorry.
half of Italy and Spain. And so I think it's really important that, and in these two states represent what we've been asking states to do. In Kansas, they found 50% of their clusters were in specific meat packing, nursing homes. They identified their clusters, they found their clusters, they took care of those clusters, and that was 50% of all of their cases. In Arkansas, 80% of the Arkansas individuals have recovered with less than a 2% mortality. And so it's really important. We're a big country, but each state is different. But as a country, we're different than other countries around the
We have 29% of the world's dead.
world.
4.4%
We'll be asking
population.
questions later about, why were certain countries completely spared? And I think that's always a question that we have. Epidemiology is like that. But if your country has never had significant infections, you can't compare it to a global number. There's multiple countries in Africa where there's really almost no outbreak, and then South Africa has a very different outbreak. So each of these outbreaks are different, and that's why it has to be really granular to understand it and to respond to it. And you can see these two states have done exactly what we asked them to do.
I know. I wanted to come to Kauai in March or April or something. Couldn't.
Find cases, contact trace, contain
I got miles.
outbreaks,
I got a companion
and ensure
pass.
that their citizens do as well as possible, and that's what these states illustrate.
And just
I mean, I
to
said to
finish your
myself,
question,
should I go to
so we're
Kauai? And I thought,
in that
why
category,
not?
along with Germany as the lowest, and I think that's a great honor, and that's including New York and New Jersey, which have had they had a very high number. So if you include New York, New Jersey, do everything. If you don't,
So let's not include New York and New Jersey because they're apparently not part of the country anymore. To answer your question, Creative Group, these people have to work for him. For example, Dr. Scarf has to work for him because if she says anything negative about him, she may be gone. I mean, he lets Dr. Fauci stay, even though Fauci says some stuff he doesn't agree with, because Fauci's been through 6 presidents. That's not to say that Fauci's going to stick around forever. He could kick him out, but he seems to have universal respect. But if Dr. Scarf says something wrong, she's out, and then she can't do her work to try and save lives. That being said, I don't know that she's been able to achieve any sort of efficacy because all of the designs and guidelines for opening America, etc., have basically been ignored by the states anyway, and the president isn't leading.
include New York and New Jersey, we're just about in a class by ourselves. Now, with all of, China,
I'll quarantine myself in Hawaii. I have no problem with that.
you tell me about it. Do you think they're right numbers? Do you think China's giving the right number? I don't think so. Take a look at the numbers. They gave numbers that were so low. I mean,
Okay, so let's say China has 25% of the world's dead. Why do we have 28%, 29, because it's 28.8, that's how math works. Why? Why do we have 29% of the world's dead? I'll tell you why. This guy right here didn't test. Did not test.
I saw more problem on television than they were reporting, just by looking at a picture. So I'm not.
He saw more than 13,000 dead just by looking at a picture. It was an inauguration. There are hundreds of thousands of people.
Including China in any numbers, because those numbers weren't correct, obviously. That's been easily shown and easily proven. But no, our people have done a fantastic
If it's so easily proven, would you mind proving it? That's all I'm saying.
job. Deborah, I always talk about the fact that our testing is so far advanced.
It
We're
isn't.
close to 14 million in testing. 14 million.
With 12 point something earlier today. That's what, according to Kayleigh McEnroe.
And would you say China's at, not China, if you would say...
Let's China.
Germany
Let's
would
say
be
China.
Maybe 3 or 4? 3?
Germany's almost 4.
South Korea's at a number. You tell us what that number is.
Well, we've been way
100,000?
ahead of South Korea for a long time.
Way ahead of everybody.
Yeah, because
Germany's
they
done
tested
3 million
early.
Tests, Italy 3
Russia?
million tests, UK
Russia?
about 2.7 million,
Russia?
Spain 3 million. And I think to us, it's not just the number of tests, it's how those tests are utilized.
Quality.
And I think in both of
Russia,
these states, you can see they focus
7.3.
testing.
And
where
they don't talk about Russia. They don't mention Russia because they've done so
they knew
many.
the outbreaks were, and now they're proactively testing in nursing homes where they think the outbreaks could go next, and finding the asymptomatic cases. I think we've only learned in the last couple of months how many asymptomatic cases there are. And I think a lot of people at the beginning wanted to approach this like flu, and most of the people who get flu are symptomatic. So really, I think our thoughts have evolved, our understanding has evolved, and the states have evolved with us, really working in partnership to really change how we look for cases.
That's C-SPAN pausing, not me.
That's really remarkable. We're not waiting for people to get sick to find cases now. And what you're doing with testing and what you're doing with testing in a proactive way is the way we're moving as a country. And because we can do nearly 14 million tests, we have the luxury to be able to be proactive in our testing now.
David, is that
When you do
U.S. or
14 million
worldwide?
tests, you're going to find more cases. If instead of 14 million tests, we did 3 million, like Germany's at about 3 million, South Korea's at 3 million, and they've done a very good job. It's not a knock, but we're at almost 14 million. We're going to be passing 14 million very soon.
That's
So you're going to
C-SPAN
have more
pausing.
tests. If we did 3 million, everyone would say, oh, we're doing great, in terms of cases.
South
We can have
Korea's
more
not even at a
cases.
million. They're not at
If
3
we did 3
million.
million, maybe that's what we should have done. I said, if I would have done 3 million, they said, oh, they have very few cases. The United States is doing well. We're finding a lot of people. By doing testing, you're finding people. So we're doing 14, Germany's doing 3, South Korea's doing 3, and I think they're number 2 and 3.
South Korea's
So
doing
we're way ahead of everybody.
776,000.
But when you do that, you have more cases. So a lot of times the fake news
No.
media will say,
No,
you know,
you don't necessarily.
there are a lot of cases
If South Korea tested
in the
3
United
million,
States. Well,
they'd
if we
still
didn't do
have about the
testing
same that they
at
have.
a level that nobody's ever dreamt possible, you wouldn't have very many cases. So we're
China
finding a
does
lot
it.
of cases, and we're doing a great job once we find them.
Why don't the reporters
thank you very
correct him
much.
on this?
Come on, guys.
Thank
we're
you.
finished. Press, let's move. Come on, guys. Press, let's go. Thank you.
That's weird. There's 45 minutes of recording
The
here.
United States is much larger than a lot of these.
Hold
Come
on.
on, guys.
Thank
we're
you.
finished. Press, let's move. Come on, guys. Press,
This
let's
might not be
go.
the end.
Thank you.
Follow up. How does it compare on a per capita basis? Obviously, the United States is much larger than a lot of these European countries. How does our testing compare per capita?
Sure.
to those
You want to
nations?
do that, Deborah? Per
Yeah,
capita.
our testing now, we're almost up to 4%. So some of the European
Are much higher than we are. Yeah, we're
countries are
39th.
4 to 5%. And I think our goal is to ensure that we can find the asymptomatics. And I think that's really our focus right now, working with every state to really help them identify where these clusters came from historically, and then proactively going for those clusters, identifying them early, and finding the asymptomatic individuals before. And no one's intending to spread the virus. I always want to be very clear about that. Asymptomatic people don't know they're infected, and so together we're really working to find them. And I think it's a unique challenge, and I think
Okay.
together we're really making progress.
And when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what? But you can look at just about any category, and we're really at the top, meaning positive on a per capita basis too. They've done a great job. Please, Caitlin.
Yesterday at the Republican lunch that you were complaining about the CDC and the label. Testing. Do you
No,
think that,
I wasn't I don't know who gave you that. It's fake news.
Do you think Robert Redfield is doing a good job leading
Yeah,
the
I do.
CDC?
I do. It's fake news, Caitlin. Fake news. Therefore, you can report it on CNN.
You didn't
He's kind of a jerk.
Perfect for CNN.
You didn't complain about the
No, not at all.
Do you
No,
think they
no,
did a
no.
good job with testing at the beginning?
Well, you're asking me a wise guy question. At the beginning, and again, I didn't put CDC there. CDC's been there long before
Oh,
the
it's
Trump
Obama's
administration came
fault.
in. But
It's Obama's
they had
fault
a
during
test that
Trump's
was,
administration.
Something happened to it. It was soiled. It was soiled and/or foiled.
Yeah.
But it was a problem, a short-term problem. It lasted for
6
about
weeks.
a week.
Six
and then
6
they
weeks.
Got that solved, and frankly, the end result is, and this was done outside of CDC. This was done
What? What is he talking? Outside of CDC?
private companies and people that we got involved. And we've done, you look at the numbers. I know you don't like to talk about the numbers and what we've done, but yeah, for the first week, they had a
6
problem,
weeks.
CDC, because something went wrong with one of the tests, and that can
6
happen.
weeks.
I'm not blaming CDC for it. No, I think he's done a very
Well,
good
you
job.
should.
I think
It's your
that my whole
CDC.
team has done a very good job. I think and it's not really my team. They were there. CDC's been there for a long time. There's some great talent in CDC. I deal with them. So now what you're saying is, okay, we've done 14 million tests, so we can't hit the president on that. So let's
See, all this time, the U.S. wasn't testing.
go back to the first week. CDC has done, I think, a really good job. Now, and I didn't say anything bad about CDC at the meeting. We actually had a very good meeting. The Republican Party, the senators, I think virtually everyone was there. I think you had 53 there. And we had a great meeting. We're looking to do great things for the country. We're helping people with stimulus. We're getting money to people. They need it, and we're going to open up very big. We're going to open up, I call it transition to greatness. That's what it is. It's a transition to greatness. And when Larry Kudlow tells you the numbers, those are really
That's pretty.
surprisingly good numbers this early in. I mean, we're doing very well. I think it's going to be something special. These are two governors that we invited. They've both done a fantastic job. One happens to be a Democrat, one happens to be a Republican. But I think I've worked out, you've been on most of those calls, Lauren. I think we can say the Democrats have been as nice about what we've
Well,
done as
that's
the
important.
Republicans. I mean, it's been terrific. And,
That's
you know,
great.
Laura, I know she will speak her mind, and so will some of the others. And if she was unhappy,
Will you
she'd
please,
be
Laura?
letting you know.
Can
No,
you
we've
tell
done
us
a
how you
really
couldn't
great
get
job.
supplies
We've
at the
gotten along
beginning?
great with Democrats,
Tell us how you couldn't get supplies at the beginning.
the Democrat governors, and we've gotten along great with the Republicans. It's been a tremendous thing to witness, and we're doing a fantastic job with. And you have been fantastic, Deborah, I have to say. You've been working 24 hours a day, and I hope people
No, she
appreciate
hasn't.
what you're doing, but I do. I do. Thank you very
All right,
much.
friends, let's go. Come on, Taylor, we're done. Let's go.
Thank you very
Friends, let's move. Come on, let's go.
So-
Come on, let's go. We're finished. Thanks. Come on, let's go.
There's
Come on, let's go. We're done.
I think the regimen finishes in a day or two. Yeah. I think it's a 2 day.
Okay, so he keeps going here. I don't know if we're going to get the full 45 minutes here, but we'll keep going.
Thank you. Great job.
I don't know if the camera just keeps rolling or what's happening. Maybe C-SPAN does a question and answer afterwards. I have no idea. Let's find out. Let's find out together. Nope, that's it. And do we see anything beyond
Thank you
that?
very much. It's an honor to have Asa Hutchinson, the governor of Arkansas. We all know Asa. They've been through a lot over the years, and
area to provide.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, so the beginning of the meeting comes after the question and answer. So let's just jump around here. Typically, he says something at the beginning. Let's see if we can find it here.
good things are happening. States are opening up, some rapidly,
Oh,
safely.
that's loud.
And we look forward to that, and I think we're going to get back. We're going to have some very good numbers, I project. I think that we will have a great transition period, which is third quarter. I think you're going to have a very good fourth quarter. I think you're going to have an incredible year. You may have something to say about that, Larry, because you just got some numbers that are quite important. Go ahead.
The Congressional Budget Office has just redone its estimates,
Okay.
and after predictably rough pandemic contraction in the second quarter, they're looking for a 21.5% growth rate, sir, in the third quarter,
Hope so. Yeah.
which would actually, if it came true, would be the biggest growth quarter in American history. or
Yeah,
since
after the
data
worst
were
quarter
compiled.
in American. Still wouldn't get us back to
Quarter
zero.
Over 10%, and actually they're showing 2021 now at 4.2%. So they had lifted their estimates. That would be a wonderful
When you're starting from zero, it's a
thing.
lot easier
Really
to
would.
gain.
Well, those are big numbers.
Yeah, where's
That's,
Beef Guy?
That would be incredible. That
Bring
tells
on
you
Zippy.
what's happening, and that's why the stock market's as good as it is.
I told you
Because
this
there
would
are a lot of
happen
smart
yesterday.
People that are projecting some very good results for this country. Laura, would you like to say something? You have these wonderful people right here, and they'd love to hear from you. Governor, please.
I do. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
President. I appreciate the invitation
She's the Democrat who beat Chris Kobach to take Kansas back into Democratic hands.
here today. And I appreciate what your team has done for us.
Thank you.
As we have been working our way through
Praise
this
him.
pandemic and the recovery.
You praise him first, and then he does what you want.
I think one of the most significant things that has happened was when we put out a cry for help with our meatpacking plants.
Yes.
You sent in a CDC SWAT team that came into southwest Kansas, where we have multiple meatpacking plants, and really helped us set up the kind of system that we needed to have in place to ensure that those plants could stay in production. And I'm very proud to say that Kansas is one of the few, if not the only state, that did not have to actually shut down
right.
our packing plants.
That's
We were
right.
Yeah, she is
able
flock of
to
seagulls.
create an environment that was safe, and we were also able to provide with your assistance and our own agencies non-congregate living, so that, because a lot of the folks who work in these meatpacking plants live with a lot of other people, and so we were able to work with our community colleges and our hotels in that area to
Right.
provide
Oh, that's good.
quarantine space for folks. And
That's what we
worked
should
out
have
really
everywhere.
well.
And our people worked very well together. I have to say, your representatives and my representatives really worked well together. They did a good job together.
Well, and I want to give a little shout out to Senator Pat Roberts, who I
Absolutely.
think was instrumental in elevating our cry for help.
Right, that's true. That's true. Thank you very much. Good
Good.
job. Asa, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thanks for this opportunity to be here. I've enjoyed visiting with Dr. Burks before and Larry Kudlow about the economy, but also the health side of this. And I want to tell you, thank you for your leadership in the food production for our country. Arkansas has 60 meat processors here in the state of Arkansas. All of them are active. None of them are shut down. They're producing because we know the country depends upon that production.
Chris Wilson,
But your
YouTube
support of
banned
that
you.
industry has been critical. And I also want to thank you for your leadership on the economy. The message that you have that we need to get back to work, get back to business is critical in terms of shaping the direction of our country. In Arkansas, we're back to work. Today, all of our retail stores are open. All of our retail establishments totally are open. Our gyms are open. Our barbers are open. Our restaurants are open. Now, sure, they have some restrictions, 1/3 occupancy and things like that, and we're emphasizing the social distancing, but we're at work. And the result of that
Marfa used the F word, so it blocked
is
you.
that we were projecting a 10% loss of our sales tax revenue year over year, 10% reduction. We're getting the numbers in, and we're going to beat 5%. It's going to be about
That's
5%.
right. That's big news.
And so obviously there's a loss there we expected, but we're beating all of those projections, including our payroll. And so we want to work, and we really appreciate what you've done for small businesses in the payroll protection plan that we'll be speaking about through the course of this.
Right.
Yeah, they're beating projections because nobody doing the projections
This
thought
meeting,
they'd
Lori
open up
Cogden is here.
so quickly.
But also, in terms of testing, just to give you a flavor of Arkansas, we have fewer than 100 hospitalized in Arkansas.
Thank you,
We
Creative.
have right about 5,000 cases, all total cumulative.
Right.
The active cases are much less than that. But we're ramped up our testing because last month you all said you can have 90,000 kits.
Right.
Because of that, we're able to test this month 2% of our population,
Right.
which was our goal. We're going to do 60,000 in May, and then we made a pledge
The goal should be about 10%, but okay.
that
That's
next
good. It's
month
good
in
first goal.
June, we will test all of our nursing home residents
Right.
You
and
haven't?
their workers. And so that's our goal for June. That will really help the
Jesus.
safety of those in the nursing home as well as the staff that's there. So, but while we're growing the economy in Arkansas, it has to be a national effort because we're not going to really boom in Arkansas until New York is strong again and until Kansas and all of our neighbors, and you mentioned the automobile industry. We're in the supply chain, so we can't really produce until they're
You can get a haircut, but you can't test the old
in
folks.
operation. But we got a lot of exciting things happening in the state, but it couldn't have been done without the support and partnership that we have with your federal agencies that have been very responsive and given us what we needed.
Thank you very much, Jason. You've done a great job. You both have.
He
done
said
a
in
really great
June
job.
they
It's
hope to
been an
test the
honor
old
to
folks'
work with
homes.
Both of you. Thank you very much. That was really terrific. Any questions, please?
Mr. President, what is it that you think that's happening in Michigan that's illegal?
Okay, so
Well, I
this
think
is
if
kind of
we're
where we
talking
came
about
in.
the mail-in ballots, if people mail in ballots, there's a lot of illegality. They send in ballots that
And is this where they cut it off and
they
goes back?
harvest ballots. You know all about harvesting, and they do lots of bad things Ideally, people go out and they vote. Now, if you need a mail-in ballot, if you need a specific, like as an example, I'm in the White House, and I have to send a ballot to Florida, that makes sense. So if you need it for some reason, or if somebody's not well, that's one thing. But when you send out 7.7 million mail-in ballots, there's forgeries, there's frankly duplication where they print
Nope, they have
ballots of the
barcodes.
same kind of paper with the same kind of machinery,
They
and you can't
they
tell
have
the
barcodes.
difference.
You can tell the
And they
difference because
send
there's
in
barcodes.
thousands of
And people don't use different pens to
thousands of
sign.
fake ballots.
But just none of this
And I'll tell you what,
happens.
this nation can't be going down that path because it's a very dangerous path to go down. Now, we just won a big election. You probably heard about this one in California.
California, yeah, we
25.
saw this already.
Mike Garcia.
Yeah, the fact that Arkansas hasn't tested all of the old folks' homes and the personnel working, and the personalities. I never make mistakes. At the old folks' homes is ridiculous. That should be the first place that you test. That's where the outbreaks happen, and it just lends itself to the spread of the virus with the most vulnerable of populations. Wow. Okay, let me catch up on the chat here. Arkansas spelled backwards is backwards. That is true. Fact check. Scary that nursing homes are being crushed. Yeah, creative. It's absolutely insane what's going on around the country. It's still happening. And the meat packing plants. And why? I mean, I'm never going to own a meat packing plant, but if I did, I would proactively make it work. Otherwise, people die, and that seems to be probably a bigger hassle and will obviously result in litigation at this point. Yes, Republican suppression tactics on minority voting is a yearly mission. Yes, of course it is. And Trump has admitted the quiet part out loud that if you have all mail-in ballots, Republicans will never win another election. They will, because he's wrong about everything, as was the case in California 25 just last week. Chris Wilson, the last thing he wants is for everyone to vote. That's right. So there's two thoughts on that. Number one is, if all the people voted, the Democrats would win. Then you go further with that, and you have to ask, what the fuck, Democrats? Like, no one to blame but yourselves. But in national elections, of course, it's just the Electoral College. So 304 guys voted for this guy. The people voted for Hillary, but, screw the American people. All right, speaking of screwing the people, here's your closing credits. New ones are coming, by the way. If you're not in this and you've donated recently, I'll tell you how to donate. Let's pause for commercial. If you want to support this broadcast, go to kevinleefather.com. You can become a patron there. Or if you're like Chris Wilson, you can pledge a legacy fund of 38 cents per annum. We appreciate every penny of that. Yeah, David, everyone voting would be democracy. I mean, anarchy. You're absolutely right. And if you want to donate directly like these good people, Kathleen Perkins, Rich Mack, and Daniel Rock, you can at paypal.me/KevinLeeDad. I think Rich Mack might be my favorite patron because he actually is a patron on Patreon. Plus, he also donated on PayPal. So I'm very happy with. Oh, okay, so you guys are familiar with this sound. Okay, that's me typing as I'm talking to you guys. Guess what you won't be hearing tomorrow? I'll give you a hint. Yeah, so I took the PayPal money that's been donated through the PayPals, from all my PayPals there, and Marcy Grover, and I bought a quiet keyboard. So hopefully it'll get here today, and then tomorrow you won't hear all of that. Some of you notice, some of you said something, some of you don't notice. I notice when I'm watching. I'm down with OCD. Yeah, you know me. Yeah, you know me. Yeah, you know me. 4. You know me. 5. You know me. Okay. I should probably end on that because someone's going to be offended by that. Here's your closing credits.